Emily never thought a quiet Saturday morning could stir up the kind of tension that makes your heart feel like it's skipping beats. The sun had barely risen when she padded into the kitchen, the wooden floor cool under her feet, her cream sweater keeping her warm against the early autumn chill. Her husband, Ryan, had been upstairs since dawn, hunched over his work in the small office they had converted from the guest room. Ryan was a man who could get lost in his projects for hours, forgetting the world around him. She didn't mind. It gave her space to enjoy her own routines, the ones that made her feel grounded. She poured herself a cup of coffee, inhaling the nutty aroma, and gazed out at the maple tree in the front yard. The leaves had turned a stunning mix of red and gold, swaying gently in the breeze. Somewhere in the distance, she heard a car door close. She thought nothing of it, until there was a knock at the door. It wasn't hurried, but firm enough to make her pause mid-sip. Setting her mug down, she walked to the front door, her socked feet making no sound. When she opened it, she was met by a man she didn't recognize at first. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a gray hoodie and dark jeans, holding a small cardboard box. His eyes were kind, but there was something in his expression, an urgency she couldn't quite place. "Hi, I'm Daniel. I live 2 houses down," he began, his voice deep but gentle. "This got delivered to my place by mistake." He handed her the box, the label clearly showing her name. She thanked him and was about to step back when he hesitated, glancing past her into the house. "I'm sorry to bother you so early, but do you mind if I come in for just a moment? I need to tell you something." Emily blinked, unsure what to make of it. Something in his tone made her nod before she'd even thought it through. "Sure, come in," she said, stepping aside. Daniel entered, glancing toward the stairs before turning back to her. He kept his voice low, almost conspiratorial. "I didn't want to say this outside, but there's been someone hanging around the neighborhood lately. Last night, I saw a man near your driveway. I wasn't sure if it was anything, but it didn't sit right with me." Emily felt a prickle run down her spine. She'd always felt safe here. Ryan's long work hours meant she was often home alone, but nothing bad had ever happened. "Did you see his face?" she asked. Daniel shook his head. "It was too dark. But I wanted you to be aware. Maybe keep the doors locked." She nodded, grateful but unsettled. As she led him toward the kitchen, her sock caught on a small puddle of water near the fridge. She hadn't noticed the condensation dripping earlier, and before she knew it, her balance gave way. In a split second, Daniel reached out, one arm around her waist, steadying her before she could fall. It wasn't rough or intentional, just instinctive. Still, the sudden closeness made her breath catch. His grip was firm but careful, his hand warm through the knit of her sweater. For a heartbeat, neither of them moved. Then, as quickly as it happened, he let go, stepping back with an apologetic smile. "Sorry, just didn't want you to hit the floor," he said quietly. She forced a laugh, shaking off the awkwardness. "Thanks. Guess I need to mop that up before it turns into a skating rink." Upstairs, she heard the faint creak of Ryan's chair as he shifted, completely unaware of the brief exchange that had just taken place below. The sound made her oddly conscious of the thin space between floors, of the fact that Ryan was only steps away, while she stood here with someone who was practically a stranger. Daniel stayed for a few more minutes, talking about neighborhood safety and suggesting they exchange phone numbers in case anything unusual happened again. She agreed. It seemed sensible after all, and he jotted his number on a scrap of paper from the counter. When he finally left, the house felt heavier somehow, as if the air had thickened. Emily sat back on the couch, the box he'd delivered still on the coffee table. She tried to refocus on her weekend plans, but her mind kept replaying the moment his hand had been at her waist, the urgency in his voice, the way the morning had shifted from calm to charged in seconds. Later that evening, after Ryan had gone to bed, she found herself standing at the window, looking toward Daniel's house. A single lamp was on in the front room, its light spilling onto the lawn. She didn't know why she was looking, maybe for reassurance, maybe for answers she couldn't quite put into words. All she knew was that the world outside her quiet home suddenly felt a little less certain, and her own heartbeat felt a little louder than it had that morning.